Nobody expected this in court. Not a single one. The audience leaned forward, waiting for something measured and quiet, as Keanu Reeves stepped up to the podium. What they received instead was a testimony that would become one of the most disturbing parts of the entire trial. Keanu refrained from anger, tears, or accusation. What Sean "Diddy" Combs had offered him at a private dinner in 2014 was relayed calmly, unsettlingly, and without embellishment. Among the bizarre, ritualistic terms of the so-called contract was the requirement that he bathe in Diddy's used bathwater before being accepted into something undefined. It sounded like a sick joke, but what transpired proved it wasn't. The extent to which Diddy had manipulated the proceedings became immediately apparent to the courtroom. At first, it seemed like any other invitation-only dinner in Hollywood, or so Reeves believed. While filming in Los Angeles at the end of 2014, he received an invitation through a secretive route. It didn't come from a talent agency or studio executive, but from Diddy himself. The message was enigmatic and circumstantial. Just creatives, no agents, show up by yourself. The location, a guarded estate in the Malibu Hills, was known, more for its isolation than its glamour. Always inquisitive but cautious, Reeves agreed. Everything felt off when he arrived. There were no photographers, no valets, just a lone security guard who checked his ID and confiscated his phone, stating flatly, "No devices allowed." Inside, the home resembled a stage more than a residence. Dozens of candles littered the floor. Discreet speakers emitted ambient music. At the head of a long dining table stood Diddy, smiling. "Delighted you succeeded," he greeted. In the eerie stillness, only Keanu and Diddy sat at the table. No assistants, no staff, no help. As Keanu would later recall, the night unfolded, like a surreal descent, less of a dinner, more of a recruitment ritual. Diddy handed him a glass of wine and said, "Let's talk legacy." They didn't speak of films or roles. Instead, Diddy talked about power, secrecy, and the necessity of earning one's way into the upper chambers. No studio name was given, no script. He only hinted at a part that a select few could play. "It's an immersive experience that changes you forever," he said. In court, Keanu described the conversation as one of the strangest he had ever endured. "This isn't about acting," he recalled saying repeatedly. "It's all about changing. The key is to shine, while no one is looking." At first, Keanu wondered if it was an experimental film concept, a kind of psychological acting that blurred fact and fiction. But then Diddy leaned in and said, "To begin, you'll have to show loyalty." Keanu froze. No middlemen, no publicity. Just surrender. It's the sole method this can be made to operate. What followed, Keanu testified, felt more like brainwashing than a pitch. Diddy slid a black folder across the candlelit table. Inside, there were no scripts, no storyboards, no cast lists, just a single printed document labeled the Loyalty Framework Agreement. It contained 7 bullet points. There were no studio logos, no WGA registration, no disclaimers. Instead, it read, 1. Even when you can't see, you have to trust the process. 2. You will not tell anyone about this project. 3. Just like everyone else, you will be reborn as you dip your toes into the sea. 4. You are not going to inquire. R5. Your prize will be a lasting legacy. If money is what you're after, go now. 6. You must cleanse. 7. Loyalty endures forever. Seeking clarity, Keanu asked, "Is this a pitch for a movie or something else?" Diddy smiled simply and said, "You inquire too much, Keanu. I invited you for that very reason, because you harbor any remaining doubts." Keanu stated that his gut was telling him something wasn't right, and that this felt like the final test of his allegiance. After decades of experience, he had encountered strange pitches, method directors, and brutal rehearsals. But this was entirely new. Diddy informed him that the project lacked a title because it was unnecessary. The people who complete it, they don't care about credits, he said. He described it as being off the grid, a kind of reawakening preceded by a sacrificial test before the payoff. When Keanu resisted and demanded clarification, Diddy's voice dropped. "Your thoughts are too modest. You want a script? I present you with a chance for advancement." In what Keanu described as the most unsettling moment so far, he recounted to the court how Diddy placed a small black stone on the table and told him, "Bring it with you when you enter the baths. You will change irrevocably the moment you step out." When Keanu asked what the bathhouse referred to, Diddy smiled even wider and explained that it was part of the second half of the loyalty clause. "After that, you start to become wet," Keanu recalled, his face altered with discomfort. Diddy leaned in and whispered, "We're all connected through water. Water holds memory. That's why it matters who you bathe with." Keanu described a bizarre initiation ritual that Diddy laid out, one that was deeply physical, not symbolic, and certainly not spiritual. "If you're serious," Diddy reportedly assured him, "you'll be there at the next gathering. By bringing this pebble, you will enter the same puddle from which I have escaped. I'll know you're prepared when it happens. It's not a joke." Still trying to understand if Diddy was speaking in metaphor, Keanu blinked in disbelief. But Diddy continued, "The bath will be prepared by my assistants. After I go, you'll go in. My residue will cleanse you." A quiet gasp reportedly moved through the courtroom at that statement. A fresh start promised through something so grotesque. Trying to make sense of it, Keanu said he stared at Diddy for what felt like an eternity. "I assumed he was putting me through some kind of test, or maybe trying to humiliate me," Keanu told the court. But he was dead serious. Diddy never broke character. After refilling Keanu's drink, he casually asked, "Are you in?" Keanu remained silent. He said he stood up, silently thanked Diddy for the dinner, and left. As he walked away, Diddy called out, "You'll come back. They always come back." Keanu told the court he wasn't sure if it was an elaborate PR stunt or something far more personal. When he returned to his car, he found his phone inside a sealed black packet. Alongside it was a small card that read, "Loyalty is tested in water." The sentence was inscribed in gold lettering. Keanu never responded, and he never went back. But after that night, his career began to shift. Roles dried up. Collaborations ended. Producers who had once eagerly worked with him began to quietly distance themselves. "I wasn't sure there was a connection," Keanu said under oath, "but it all started after the bath." For weeks, he tried to dismiss the dinner as just another strange Hollywood encounter. But it stuck with him. According to his testimony, something began to change. Not within him, but around him. A shadow seemed to hang nearby, always out of view. 3 days after the dinner, at exactly 3:17 a.m., his home phone rang. When he answered, there was only silence until a long, deliberate inhale broke through the line. Then, nothing. The call cut out. Keanu thought it was a prank or an error at first, but the calls continued. Over the next 2 weeks, 5 more calls came, all from blocked numbers, all at odd hours, all identical. Silence, then that same single breath. He began to notice unfamiliar cars parked outside his home for extended periods. One day, entering his garage, he found a small black packet tucked behind his windshield wiper. Inside was a single sheet of parchment-like paper bearing the message, "Unfinished rituals have consequences." The letter was signed only with a single initial, S. There was no return address, no watermark, nothing traceable.